We will now create another table called IS_comparators. And the reason for that is we want to now show our comparative values of our income statement. And if you recall, we've created a date table, which enables us to do this. So without the date table, we won't be able to use any comparators. So for example, if you want to see revenue for the current year versus revenue for the last year, we would have needed to create a date table to be able to show those comparators. So moving along, so in order to do that, the next table, we're going to go into data. The new table we're going to create, we're going to call it _comparators. Click on load. And once it's loaded it, we can just open and close. There's IS comparatives. Okay, so the first measure we're going to create is revenue for last year. So I'm going to go revenue LY for last year. And we're going to say, go and look at my total revenue measures. And we're going to call this, there's a new function called date add. Text function, date add. We're going to say, look at my dates table and look at my date field. And then I'm going to say, look 1 year back. If I wanted to say, look 2 years back, it's -2, or 3 years back, -3. So I'm going to say, look at -1 period back. And the interval I want to do is a day, month, or quarter. You can actually see here, it gives you the options there, day, month, quarter, or year. And the interval I want to use in this instance is year. So I'm going to type year, tab, and press enter. Okay, so let's look at this function we've created. So it says, we've told Power BI, go and calculate the total revenue measure. Bring me the revenue amount, but show me only the revenue for 1 year back, looking back. Okay, so let's see if that's correct. So I'm just going to bring in, you can just see what I'm doing now. So I've got a table here. I'm going to illustrate now time comparison to you. So I've got my date. Let's put our date in here. I've got where's our key measure? I want to show the total revenue. Okay, so there's the revenue for each financial year. So that's the total over 4 years. And what we want to now do is show the comparative for each year. So now if we go back to our first comparative we created, revenue last year, here it's sitting. If I drag this over here, you'll see now here's the comparative. So there was the value for 2017, and it's actually the opening balance, the comparative for not opening balance, sorry, the comparative for that year. And there's the comparative accordingly. So I know that the time comparison measure is now working correctly. So this is just a quick example of what we mean by time intelligence comparatives. So now we're going to carry on and create the rest of our time comparison measures. Okay, so going back to IS_comparators table, we go to new measure. Now we're going to create the rest of our measures. Okay, so next one, CIGS last year. Calculate. Look at our total cost of sales. Cost of sales. There we go. So all these are going to be the same now. Dates, reporting. Look at that. So this is our date table and the date column. And we say look back 1 year. Okay, so that's our cost of sales. We're going to do the same for press enter. Next one, it's our gross profit last year. Again, I've given you the DAX formulas in your notes. If you get stuck, you can also pause the video. So a lot of this is repetition, but it's important to do it so you get a feel for DAX. We're going to do our gross profit percentage last year. So here we reference the gross profit percentage measure that we've created. Okay, next one is our, okay, see here I've got an error, true or false expression. Let's have a look here. Sometimes you're going to get errors in your formula, so you have to troubleshoot on the spot. So let's just have a look here. So something in a formula. Oh yeah, so I didn't put my, see I didn't put my DAX express function date add. So now it should work. There we go, it's no error, perfect. Okay, the next one we're going to do is general OPEX last year. So when you're doing this course, try not to copy and paste the DAX formulas. You don't learn just by copying and pasting. You learn by doing this yourself, and by practice and repetition. And then you also understand why you're doing things. Sales and marketing last year. And got a few more to do. As you can see, there's quite a bit of setup measures, amount of measures you create. But once you've done it, once you've invested the time, then it's all worth your effort. Okay, operating profit. This is the most intensive part of the course, is the DAX formulas. Because once you've created them and you start building your reports, it's just drag and drop. Okay, gross profit. So far I'm not getting any more errors, which is great. So we're moving on along nicely. Can use a percentage measure, and then we're gonna -1. Okay, there's a few more than we're done with this section. It's important that you follow this step by step. It's the way I've designed the training for you. And the way I teach is instead of taking you through all the technical jargon first, I rather take you step by step what to do, and by doing that you'll actually get to learn how to use Power BI. So I personally think this way of teaching Power BI for finance and accounting professionals especially is the more beneficial way of doing it. Okay, so we just got a couple more getting there. Profit before tax last year. Profit before tax. What did we call that one? Profit before tax. I'm not finding it here. Just trying to think, what did we call it? So if we look at our measures, might be this one here, total operating profit, unless I've skipped it. Just gonna have a look at, make sure we haven't missed that one. Yes, we need to have missed that one. Okay, so let me just go back to our key measures. Just click on key measures. You can just get out of that. Don't worry about the error. Let's just go and create our profit before tax measure. And it will happen that from time to time you forget things, you skip things, so you just go back and fix it. So that's part of learning and part of troubleshooting. So total profit before tax is our operating profit, and again we're going to add interest, not subtract it, as I explained previously. So profit before tax, that's fine. Okay, so now we go back to IS comparison, and you'll see here. You'll see it's highlighted here. There's a little hazard. That means that there's a problem with the measure, but we know why, because we didn't create that measure before. So we just click on that one to fix it. So you can see here's the error. So what I can do now is it should show profit before tax. There we go. So I'm just going to give you an example of how to troubleshoot if you may have missed a measure, and how it should work. Okay, next one is taxation last year. So we've got total tax. So I'm flying through this fairly quickly now, but you've got access to your notes, you've got access to video, and by now you should get a feel for how we're creating the time intelligence measures for last year. Okay, almost done. Last one. Net profit percentage last year. All right, so there's all our income statement comparatives, the measures. I'm just going to remove this column 1, delete it. Okay, great. There's all of them there. I'm happy with that. All right, we're good to go. So that concludes this lesson.